So speaking of that character and also lifestyle, what's this whiskey lifestyle I keep on seeing everywhere that I look at online? Like, I know it's attached to you. What's that about? Where did that come from?
So the Whiskey Lifestyle is a lifestyle clothing brand that myself, Griffin Moore, and William Pope started. Okay. And basically what it is, basically the Whiskey Lifestyle is your job is what you do. The Whiskey Lifestyle is who you are. And
I like that.
And
nice catchphrase.
To go deeper into that basically means like, unfortunately, a lot of times, kind of like what I was talking about earlier, is a lot of people are defined by their job and what they do. Okay. And so like it's cool that you're, when you meet someone, they say, hey, my name is such and such. I work. Where you? Oh yeah, cool. Where do you work? Oh, I work at XYZ. I work at this place. But most people, especially in New York, if you're a creative, you have a job and then you have what you really do. Gotcha. So I'm a bartender, but then I'm a writer.
Yeah. I got you.
Or I might be I might work at a restaurant, but I'm also a dancer. Or I'm like this kind of thing. And so I think that Whiskey Lifestyle is a little bit more. We like to showcase and highlight that aspect of it. And also too, if you are really into whiskey, which a lot of us are, there's just nothing. There is no apparel that's whiskey based that's good.
That's
like
real.
there's not good. Nothing. It's not designed well. Nope. It looks cheesy. It's not cool.
Because they focus on their brand. They focus on the brand of the alcohol as opposed to like the aesthetics.
Exactly. And people that like whiskey, there's a certain type of people, just like people that like wine. Yeah. People that like wine have a certain style about them and what they like to do.
By the way, as you can tell.
But also people that like whiskey have a certain aspect about them as well.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times when you get swag from whiskey companies, it's really cheesy. It doesn't fit well. It's just not good. And the main founder, Griffin Moore, he's a bartender, and like he didn't like wearing a lot of the stuff that he had to wear at the bar.
Yeah, because they throw you.
They just throw you like whatever the brand is or whatever, and it just didn't fit right. Yeah. So that was the main thing. He wanted something that he could wear in the bar, but also wear outside and still be cool. That comes from t-shirts, it goes from beanies, it goes from hats. Soon we're about to expand a little bit more, about to do some sweaters and also some jackets as well.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been really fun to do.
It's specifically New York based right now?
We're based out of Brooklyn, but we've been shopping and selling worldwide.
Okay.
I'm gonna say more nationwide, a little bit world.
So you got a little global,
a little London, a little Barcelona,
okay.
Different places, but specifically more United States and stuff like that. Got a big following in LA and Brooklyn, and we're starting to do more pop-up shops in different places.
What's the future of it? Like, where do we guys see it in the future?
Basically, what we look at it is we're doing what other whiskey companies should be doing.
I got you.
And that's kind of building a brand and a movement around the aesthetic of whiskey.
Okay.
So if I'm a Jameson, if I'm a Jack Daniels, if I'm a Macallan, even if I'm an Oban or a Yamazaki, those guys, like, what we're doing is what they should be doing.
Gotcha.
And so that's kind of like how we take it with that respect, where it's like, someone was like, oh, you guys gonna make your own whiskey. We're like, that would be cool, and maybe down the road, but that almost alienates all the whiskey that we like already.
Yeah, I get you.
So it's like, we don't want to compete with them.
You gotta focus on your own stuff. You're not trying to compete. You're trying to actually set up a guideline for them or a blueprint for them to do it themselves.
Exactly. And also, it goes back to, we also have a wide network of creatives in all walks of life, and it's fun to highlight and showcase those people, whether it's comedians or artists or DJs or musicians or writers or directors or all these different things. So like, we have so many cool friends that like we want to be able to showcase that, have something that we personally can vouch for and be behind when we actually make the garments and all that kind of stuff. So one of the big things that we really like is like, we're getting to a point where we want to be able to that, from head to toe, everything you're wearing is some form of a friend, where it's like, I have my own t-shirt on, I have my hat from XYZ, I have socks from this person.
So you're branding yourself, you're branding your lifestyle.
Yeah, and also too, you get to a point where you want to support your homies and support your friends, and so it's actually more fun if you can do that. And if slowly but surely, we have friends that are leather makers and like jean makers, and they make their own shirts and all that kind of stuff. So we want to get to that realm where it's like, if I'd rather rock my friend's stuff as opposed to give it to whatever larger company, and so that small business aspect, that shop local aspect, is something that we really like, we really harp on to. So that's why a lot of our social media usually showcases people from everyone that's bought it, and we kind of showcase them, because it's the people that actually make us cool. Like, and so that's why when people say
who represent it is the ones that
exactly. So someone was like, yeah, I noticed you guys don't really have like a lot of like professional photography or like a whole shoot or all that. And then, you know, on one end that wasn't intentional, but now it's a little bit more because we like that we showcase the people that really are down with us and really rock with us. And a lot of people do. And we just like building that organic growth as it is. And so everyone's like, oh, you know, what are you guys going to do? How big you want to get? And we're honestly like, you know what? We're just kind of taking it like month by month and just enjoying it.
And just enjoying the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. And we have, you know,
journey.
We've been doing a couple pop-ups in Brooklyn. We have another one coming up next month and then in December.
Okay.
And then for 2018, we want to go upstate New York, LA, possibly the Bay. We're still trying to figure that out. But we're just like literally letting it be a nice grassroots type of thing.
Got you. I got you. Okay. So switching lanes a little bit. Before you left for New York from South Bay, you were DJing.
Yes.
Are you DJing out there?
Yeah. I started back again maybe like 4 years ago.
Okay.
4 or 5. And that's been fun. Honestly, the DJing now has been more a release from like the 9 to 5.
Got you. Okay.
And so like, you know, kind of back to what the whiskey lifestyle was about, where like you have your job and then you have what you really do. And so DJing for me has always been fun. And so I don't think I'd ever want to be a full-time 100% DJ. I think I would probably be 30 pounds heavier and like way drunker all the time.
All the time.
But I do like DJing. It's really fun. I like playing music that people haven't heard in a long time, or stuff that, you know, introducing new music.
Yeah, you used to like to see people move. That was all your thing. You didn't want like the hardcore where you're just sitting up there just going like this. You always wanted people just dancing a little bit.
Yeah,
and the same way out there.
You know, and the cool part about New York in terms of DJing wise, there's literally over 2,000 bars. So anyone with a laptop and an iPad can literally DJ, and it's good and bad. It's good because the barrier to entry to DJing now is so low.
Yeah, you don't have to carry crates anymore.
Exactly. But it's bad because now everyone thinks they're a DJ.
Yeah.
And what people ask me, like, oh, I don't want to DJ. I'm like, well, you have to first start with the ear.
Yeah.
So if you have a good ear, you have a good taste for music, and you have a good understanding of it, that helps you. You're like at least 25 to almost 50% of the way.
Gotcha.
And so now it's about actually learning the craft of it and the basics of it, blending and all that. But it's also about, you know, your song selection. You know, like we now have access to literally the entirety of all music ever created.
The internet.
Yeah. So with that in mind, what are you going to do specifically to make yourself special?
Yeah, I remember the crate stuff. I had a friend. He's actually like a brother to me. He was a DJ, and entry into the party for free was carrying his crates, helping him out, going to every event. And I mean, he had a lot of records, so we'd be there for like a good 10, 15 minutes bringing records in. So he's good throughout the whole set.
Yeah.
But it got us in for free. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it was fun. You know, I mean, you know, I learned especially from the Bay Area. The Bay Area is very technical, and so it's all about blending. It's about having a nice smooth mix.
You just kind of
it's a very nice smooth mix. And the difference between New York is New York knows how to party rock.
Gotcha.
And honestly, there are Bay DJs that can party rock really well. You know, there's the Cutsos, there's the Golden Childs and all those, and even Shortcut and those guys.
Yeah, those guys are ill.
But also too, I mean, like in New York, like any DJ worth his salt or her salt, they know how to rock a party, you know, and that's actually more important
in New York as opposed to.
Yeah, it's a lot more important than just making a seamlessly blended of a mix.
Gotcha.
And one of the things that I had to learn too was also talking on the mic, because I don't like talking on the mic. Yeah. I mean, I can.
You want the music to speak for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's another thing about Bay Area. We don't really I mean, there's some people that talk, but not really.
Yeah.
That's definitely more of an East Coast thing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that's, you know, more spirit on because of like Mr. C and Funkmaster Flex and DJ Clue and all those guys. But in general, like, it's more about your song selection, more about your party rocking and all that. And I think I personally have got away from more of the top 40 clubs.
Gotcha.
And go to places that I can really kind of blend the types of music that I want to blend.
You can enjoy all of it.
Oh, totally. I mean, I want to be able to play, you know, the Beatles, and then after the Beatles play Jay-Z, and then after Jay-Z play, like, you know, Carly Rae Jepsen or some craziness like that, just because I can, you know. But that's the fun stuff, because then you want to take people to different places, and so that you can have a lot more fun and really just enjoy. Because one of the things I do like about the crowds in New York is, like, good music is good music, period.
That's real talk.
So, like, you can have, as long as it's good and I can move, people will rock with you. But a lot of times, if you're at other parties, they'll be like, oh, you only have R&B, you know, house house and maybe soca or something. So you have very specific places that you can only play certain things.
Gotcha.
And so I got into a more of an open format area where those are the type of places I actually enjoy playing more now.
Got you. So what else? So with all that being said, you do a lot. What else you have cooking right now? Like we talked about the whiskey lifestyle. We talked about the DJing. You know, the artistry and stuff. What else you got? Go on.
Right now, I'm pretty much just focusing on those for now.
Okay.
One of the main things I've been working on the low key has been me, my brothers and I have a novel series that we're working on. And so we're working on kind of like our own like young adult fiction and building our own world and that kind of stuff. And it's less inspired from the Harry Potters or whatever, but more about just being kind of like urban youth and that kind of stuff. Because a lot of times we don't get to see us represented in these like fantasy type of worlds.
That's true.
And so we wanted to make a kind of a interesting, fun world that's it's the four of us we can develop, but then also draw on our experiences who we've grown around, because we've grown up in a multicultural situation.
Course,
so like all of our friends are a mix of all different races and that, and we want to reflect that into the story that we're working on. And so that's something that's more 2018 and 2019, but that's something that's been like an ongoing project that's been really, really fun.
Cool.
And also been really cool. And then also just been working on my own, like just more on the writing tip, really, just like my own graphic novels and like some of the short stories and that kind of stuff. But that's just more just like a long-term thing, And then
of course, because you have so many other things. It's hard to you can't just focus. It's hard to just focus on that right now. You just let it kind of gradually come together.
And honestly, what it is it's more shifting focuses. So it's like, focus on this for a little bit, focus on this for a little bit, and kind of do that. The other thing too has been slowly learning about music production.
Okay.
Not necessarily a beat maker, air quotes, but like really understanding actual music production. I have the basics down just from DJing, but now it's actually learning the craft and understanding about like all that. Like I was actually today, I was working with my brother. He was like getting back on me on my keys and stuff like that, and like playing the piano and just like reading the music. And like I knew a little bit from before, but I've been slacking, and so now I've been like just getting back into it and slowly going from there. So because one of my friends who's a good DJ, he was like, the better DJs produce their own music as well, and like that's
what I always hear. It's a segue, right? You grow out, you grow as a DJ, and you decide you want to kind of
and honestly, all that comes down to is like making your own remixes, making your own music and that kind of stuff.
What rocks the party?
Yes, exactly. And so depending on how you want to roll with it, it just helps you go back from just being just a DJ to being a DJ producer.
Gotcha.
And whether it's like producing for an actual artist or just making your own remixes and that kind of stuff, it still just gives you an extra oomph, if you want to put it to that way.
I got you. So, with you being in New York this long, and so many people have, left within a couple, 1 or 2, 3 years from the time they moved to New York, they moved back wherever their home is. Are we ever going to get the genius that is Cameron Moore back to the West Coast? I mean, you've been away for a long time, brother. Like, like you're gonna come here and share some of the wealth.
I think one of the biggest things I'm gonna try to do in the future times is to come back a little bit more often, but also do more collaborations.
Gotcha.
So that's way when I'm back, in the Bay, whether it's getting the collective back together to kind of shoot ideas and do all that kind of stuff, because one of the things that I had to replicate in New York, which I had in the Bay, was the round table of friends that I had, and that we would just hang out and really talk and all that. Because I think what happens a lot of times is, and I learned this more as I over the years, is I like having a collective of people around me. They're on the same level or higher level, so I can learn from and shoot the shit with,
I'm
that kind of stuff.
Right now because I've been trying to figure out how to pull this off, but I've been having this idea about, like, just like what you used to have back in San Jose. He used to have we always talk about Cameron, because they used to have a place and all these creatives would be in there. You had writers, artists, musicians, dancers, everybody being under one roof, and we just be like collaborating. And I've been trying to figure out a way to do it, and I've been noticing that a lot of producers, like pretty heavy hitters, like producers and DJs in the Bay Area, have been like going away for the weekend, renting out like an Airbnb and just creating on the fly together and staying there for the weekend. And I want to figure out a way for us to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's something that's been playing around in my head, and I gotta.
And it's also really, it's also important because, I mean, even in the heydays in the '60s and the '70s and the '50s and all that stuff, like, especially in New York, was like that kind of a hub. So, say for instance, like Malcolm and Martin, they would hang out with their kids in New York, and they would invite James Baldwin, they would invite Nina Simone, and they would all just chill and hang and just talk politics, talk life and all this other stuff, and swap ideas and this and that. And so it was in the Nina Simone documentary that they were talking about this, but like Nina Simone's daughter was saying, she's like, oh yeah, I would hang out at Malcolm's house all the time, and I would see Martin Luther King, and I would see James Baldwin, and my mom would be there, and this and that, but they would just sit there and talk politics, and they would talk life and this and that. And so one of the cool things I did like about when I was back in the Bay is that we did that a lot more often, where we'd all kind of hang out, kind of swap ideas.
Yes.
Everyone would talk about their business aspirations or what they were working on, and it helped because then you can bounce ideas off of people that if you didn't know business, then you could talk to this person that can help you on that. If I didn't know wine, I would talk to you. If I didn't want to learn more about music production, I could talk to Richter. So each person had something to the table, and then we'd all learn from each other. And I think more people need those type of collectives just in their own lives.
You need to be inspired. You need to have something that pushes you. The thing as artists is we get really in our own world, and there's things going on around that would make us more successful. But because we're so focused on what we need to do, we forget about the extra stuff that makes us more successful. Yeah. And so you have these people in your circle that help to institute that into your life.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, you become better when your team is better.
Yeah.
And so even if you're not working on something specific, you have a network of people that you can always talk to and really get better at. And I think especially a lot of creatives need to be that a little bit more. It helps to deflate the ego, but it also helps to broaden your horizons, broaden your network, and also really check you when you have an idea. We're like, I have this idea, maybe it could be this, and that, and then someone can kind of chime in and kick the tires of the idea, or flesh it out even more so that you can take it to somewhere you never even thought of.
Gotcha.
And so that helps the creative process just all across the board, because you might be super creative, but then your business aspect is not good.
That's what I loved about. I don't know if you remember that documentary that was called Brooklyn Boheme, where they were just like talking about how during like the 90s, they were just in, I think it was like late 80s, more 90s though, that these guys were just having they were coming together and talking about their art and helping each other out, and they're all still not all of them, but a lot of them were still friends. So the jazz scene was taking off a little bit. You had the art scene taking off, and you had actors out there just kind of hanging out, and that's really what I want for the future of the crew. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think say for instance, the quote unquote San Jose Renaissance around that 2002 to 2005 realm. It was just a lot of creatives in the same area at the same time doing a lot of cool stuff. Yeah. And I think what happens is you kind of have to you have like one or two people have to spearhead that, and so you have to have that hub where you can kind of hang out and have that collaborations, because a lot of times we all get busy, we have our girls,
we get focused
kids,
on our own stuff,
we have our jobs and all that, but like taking a day once a month to just kind of hang out with everybody and just have that collaboration type of stuff is really important, because on the creative aspect it really broadens your horizons, and you have the digital means to do that, like saying for instance we have a WhatsApp chat with a bunch of our friends. We say a lot of dumbness and go back and forth.
It's wild,
but it's good because a lot of other creatives, especially writers and designers and fashion people, they have the exact same thing. Whether it's an iMessage, whether it's an WhatsApp or whatever, they all have these type of creative hubs where they all kind of talk about those type of things. Now it's just about somehow figuring out a way to get to that into the physical realm and getting that like once a month or whatever it is, because you really kind of need that energy just from other creatives just to kind of see what you want to do. Gotcha. And like just to flesh your ideas out. Like what I'm saying, like just today I've already listed like 5 or 6 different type of creative endeavors. Yeah. But each one of those endeavors, I have different people that can bounce those ideas off of and get better at.
Just to kind of like sharpen yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Gotcha. So, with all that being said, how can people reach you?
So I'm pretty much
know more about what you're doing and stuff like that.
So my day job is social media, so you can see me on all the social media accounts with Hey DJ Cam, HeyDJCam, and that's SoundCloud, Mixcloud, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. What else is there? Anything left? Pinterest? No, not Pinterest, not anymore. I think there's but yeah. So Hey DJ Cam is everywhere. And that's more just all my accounts, whether it's some of the DJ stuff, some of the social media things and all that. But that's my main thing right now, Hey DJ Cam, for all my like mixes and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
I think of like in the future, one of the things I want to do is to make kind of like a Cameron T. Moore website that's like a hub of like all the crap that I do.
Yeah,
like, and honestly, someone asked me, they're like, yeah, you do so much stuff. It's cool because there's a lot of layers. Like, if you only know me from DJing, you don't know that I used to be a dancer or used to be a dancer. I still dance.
You can still dance.
And so, or if I was, that I'm a designer now, or I work on social media, or for a time I was a developer. So different types of aspects of it.
Yeah.
So one of the things I'm going to work on in the future times, and then sometime in the next year or two, is to kind of have more of that kind of hub. Because I want to be into that realm where like some of the people that I look up to, they're
like a landing page.
Yeah, like some of the entrepreneurs that I look up to, they are that type of person where they have their creative endeavors, and because they have that, they kind of want to make sure that people know the totality of that person.
Gotcha.
And so I'm working on getting to that level. I like having these little separate areas, and I can kind of dabble in and dipping out. But I think slowly but surely, as I get a little bit older, I want to be known as someone that is in that realm, that has like that nice well-roundedness.
Gotcha.
And I'm always learning, and I'm always getting better at things. So like I like that aspect too.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me on Wine Tasting with Giants. Another episode in the books. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers, man.
And if you want to purchase the book, Fruit and Glass, you just go to www.fruitandglass, all one word, .com, and it's there for $15. So other than that, cheers and enjoy your next wine adventure, man.